All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. It's Friday, January 15th, 2020. We're very glad you're with us today. This is our agenda. We're going to start out with success stories. I've heard of several landings from people in our group in the past couple weeks. Then we'll have everybody enter their contact information into the chat box, and I'll pop that up here in just a second. We'll then go to our committee reports. We'll then hear from our speaker today. So for those people who are on Zoom, if you don't have your full name in there, we ask that you put your full name in there. I know there's a Guy G and there's an Ava, and I think there's somebody else who only has a first name only. What you can do is if you hover over your camera icon area, the microphone area, up will come a way for you to rename yourself. Please do that. It's just good habits when you're in Zoom so that other people can find out who you are. It just is very, very helpful. So if you'll do that, that would be greatly appreciated. Also, it's one of the ways that I capture those who've attended the meeting so that I can add you to our roster. For those on Zoom, please, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please use the chat box to enter your questions. And for those on Facebook, we've got 7 people on Facebook. Good morning. Good morning, Nathan. Please enter your questions into the comment field. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and on the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, and if you happen to post a comment in the chat box or have your microphone or camera on, you give consent for your comment, name, and picture to appear. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. The group's been around since late 1990s. I took it over in 2007 when the person who was leading the group got a job and said, who wants to take over? And I think I scratched my face. And he said, okay, Jeff, you're it. In 2008, I launched Career DFW to help people in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in their job search. After a visit to the White House in 2012, I launched CareerUSA.org to help people outside the DFW area. I've written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. It's available on Amazon for 15 bucks. So if you want to drive by my house, throw 10 bucks out the window, I will attempt to throw a book in your window as long as you drive very slowly. Since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team. Well, we like to start the meeting off with good news, success stories. Before I go to the people I know about, is there anybody out there who has landed and has good news to share?
This is Esther Chacon, Jeff.
Yes, Esther.
I'm grateful to say that I have landed as a pricing coordinator with a company named SRS Distribution. They're basically a distributor of roofing materials, and I'll be starting January 25th with them.
How did you find the job?
I applied online. They liked my resume and they gave me a call. It wasn't a networking thing or a target company thing. I just, I'm a woman of faith and I do the possible, right? And then God does the impossible, the rest, right? So I just want to encourage everybody out there to continue to do the possible, do the networking, do the applications with the target companies and continue to network. Network is the way to go as well. So just keep at it. Don't be discouraged.
Very good. So how long was the interview process?
It was, I interviewed with a hiring manager and then I went first with the hiring manager because the HR professional was out that week, then with the HR professional and then with 2 VPs of sales, I ended up interviewing. So it was 3 rounds of interviews.
Okay, everything via online?
Yes, it was all Zoom. It was all Zoom. So I had enough practice with other interviews that I've done in the past. My search was a year-long search, so you have to be prepared to run a marathon and pace yourself.
And how long from when you saw the job to you got the job offer?
It was early December until now this last week.
Okay. Well, Esther, congratulations. Thank you very, very
Thank
much.
you.
And I'll tell you what number you are here in just a second when I pop them up. Anybody else, any other landings to announce today? All right, well, here are some landings. I follow up with all the people who disappear if we don't hear from them after the last 90 days in our group. So some stories, I heard back from several people. So Raja Thomas is working in global sourcing. Nancy Little retired. Dolores Gallant is an onboarding specialist for Conifer Health. Leah Rutherford is an HR administrator at Eye Care Services. And that will make 102 landings now for 2020 that I am aware of. And then in 2021, these are people who I happen to hear from beside Esther. Devin Ellis is an account manager, Bob Duncan, a business analyst at Invar Solutions, Terry Connolly, assistant vice president to the Dallas Theological Seminary. Jeff Moore is sales representative at Dallas at Southern Talmart, and Chris Cornell has transitioned into the ministry. So that makes 7 landings, well, actually makes 8 landings now. Once I add Esther's name to the list, she'll be number 8 for the year. So we're off to, I think, a really good start for 2 weeks into 2021, and we already have 8 landings here. So if you know anybody who's landed, if you hear any success stories, we're looking forward to announcing all of your landings. So keep plugging out there. Esther found hers just applying online, but she did a lot of networking. She did a lot of everything else. You just don't know what the one thing is that's going to make you do your job. So you have to do a little bit of everything.
Hey, Jeff, I got a couple more.
Okay.
Now that you've got your list, so these are 2021. Fernando Urrutia landed with Wells Fargo as a data manager. So he practiced in the fall with the pit crew and for another job and landed this one on January 6th. And then January 9th, Evan Plummer has received an offer for a position. So Evan lives in Miami area. So here's out of the DFW area pit crew candidate who landed. And so he's going to be working for the city of Miami as a training specialist.
Oh, very good. I tell you what, while talking about out of town, how many people, open up your participant box, if you will, or on Facebook, you can just enter yes, but click the green check mark if you're from outside the DFW area. If you're from outside the DFW area, click on the green check mark so we can see who all is with us. So Bill and Jim and Patty. All right, so just 3 people want to admit to it. Okay, that's fine. Great. We just always sort of wondering, who's, where people are from. Okay, let's get my back here. So what we want to do now is we want everybody to open up the chat box, or you can do this on the comment, in the comment field on Facebook, but we'd like you to enter your name, comma, phone number, comma, email address, position you're looking for, comma, a couple target companies, and then hit the return key. And what I will do is I will go and I will publish all these this afternoon in an email. So you'll have everybody's contact information and what people are looking for. And maybe you can help them in their job search, help one person every day. So for those people on Facebook, I will go and delete this information right after the meeting. So your personal information will not stay on there, forever and ever. The video will be there, but the comments will be deleted, or your comment with your personal information will be deleted. So I'll give you 30 seconds here on the clock. All right, so keep going. If you're still typing away, just keep typing away here. I'm going to move on here. All right, it's time to hear about job fairs, career fairs, training, workshops, special events that are happening. Good morning, Eldon.
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. As Jeff mentioned, I'm going to give you some information that you can find on the calendar tab from the website careerdfw.org. There it is up on the screen. I focus on career and job fairs and special workshops or events. I go through the items fairly quickly, so if you hear something that is appealing to you and sparks your interest, please go to the calendar, click on the right tab, click on the item, and you'll usually find all the information that you want about that item. All right, having said that, this week's career and job fairs, the virtual job fair will be held Wednesday, January 20th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. This event is at no cost to employers and job seekers to participate. There are links on this site to find out more about that. This week's special workshops or events and going on right now, excuse me, just a second. Sorry about that, everybody. I had to silence the phone. This week's special event workshops or events online going on right now. The third Friday Internet of Things Special Interest Group Breakfast. Friday, January 15th. It started at 7:40 and runs till 9 a.m. If you have an interest in the Internet of Things, I highly recommend that you attend this workshop and participate. They usually have a very good speaker every third week. Online, Who You Know Career Transition Summit will be held Monday, January 18th from 1 to 3 p.m. There is a Zoom link for that and also a Facebook link. There'll be online job search will be held online on Tuesday, January 19th from 11 a.m. to noon, and there's a link on the calendar for that one. Online LinkedIn Tuesdays at 1 p.m. This is a rotating seminar between Terry Sullivan, Ruth Lipsky, Kurt Vandemater, and Locke Alderson. There's a Zoom link and a Facebook link on the calendar for that. Again, that's Tuesday, January 19th from 1 to 2:30. Also online, Interviewing Wednesdays, a special guest series. There's a Zoom link and a Facebook link on the calendar for that one. Online also, Resumes Thursdays online sessions with Carol Brickell, Certified Professional Career Coach. Again, a Zoom link and a Facebook link for that. And that's it for this week. And my sincere apologies for the phone distraction. Thanks, Jeff.
It's nice to be important and people want to talk to you. That's great.
I'm so important to you that that was probably a spam caller. I didn't see it. I usually have my TV on and see the caller ID, but
well, now we know what to do. We know to call you next Friday at this time. We'll call you while this is going on.
And everybody has my phone number. Well, that's not my house phone. That's my mobile. But,
okay. I'll have to look up your home phone.
Thank you.
All right, Eldon. Thank you. All right. Just want to let people know that if you're looking for a online meeting to go to, a webinar, a teleseminar, a radio, TV show, if you click right there on the front page, it'll take you to the calendar, and this will show you all the different events that are going on. All these events here are online, so you can find an event, you can go to it, there'll be Zoom links and everything in there, and it's updated as much as people tell me about it. If you know somebody I guess my next question is, do you know anybody who lives outside the DFW area who is unemployed? If you would, open up your participant box and or just click yes, and you can just type a yes in there if you know somebody who's unemployed. We're just trying to get an idea. And the reason I ask is, if you know somebody who's unemployed, please let them know about CareerDFW and CareerUSA.org. The services are free. We don't, it's all on here. If you know somebody, I know the unemployment numbers went way up last week. If you know somebody who just lost their job, tell them to go to CareerDFW or CareerUSA. Down where you see the circle down there, the blue arrow is, click here for help. Up will come a great one-page handout or one-page article that's got some great tips on it and some links to some other articles that you can click on. So These are all some really basic good things that would help you out. All right, time to hear from the practice interview team. Good morning, Mark.
Well, good morning, and let me report on what the pit crew did last year. I mentioned this last week that 161 interviews last year. The year before that, we did 157. So actually had more interviews in 2020 than we did in 2019. The landings, 73 landings, which is roughly 6 a month. 2019, it was closer, just a smidge shy of 10 per month. So the hiring level, the landing level, let's say, was about 60% of what it was the year before, which makes a lot of sense and is a bit encouraging. I might have expected it to be a little worse than that, but that's what it was with the pit crew. So you can take some encouragement about that. And of course, the end of the year has been very busy, as we just reported. A lot of people landed and are continuing to land into January. So activity's picking up, optimism is going up. And let me just report, I got my vaccine. So through my wife's work, she works in a hospital. And so they did, family members to help her out, helps her go to work if, I'm not sick. So, but I hear, and she keeps track of this very closely. So pretty soon they're going to unleash the Kraken on getting vaccinations, and we call them hubs. And you can be a hub if you plan to and provide 1,000 vaccinations a day. So start looking for that. All right, so there's my community service announcement. Here's the pit crew. So the pit crew's alive and well in 2021. And if you want to get involved, we do practice interviews. They're all done by hiring managers. So all my volunteers are hiring managers. So they've hired people professionally. They know the good questions to ask. They're experienced in evaluating people who might come to work for them. And so those are the people who give you an interview and provide you feedback on the things you did well and the things you could do better. So this year, 2021, we're focusing on what you need to do to make a connection with the interviewer. There's all the basics. There's answering STAR stories and being well prepared and understanding job descriptions, which, by the way, next week on Wednesday, the pit crew webinar, Interview Wednesday, will be all about STAR stories, the science of STAR stories and the art of STAR stories. So you don't want to miss that. But over and above that, we want to get you to the point where you have the ability and can manage the time and engage the interviewer or interviewers to build a connection with them. And that's going to be very important to your success. So that's what the pit crew is about. To have a pit crew practice interview, you need to send me a couple of pieces of information. You need to send me your job description and your resume. And you send that to the Dallas Pit Crew Gmail address. So Dallas Pit Crew, all one word, at gmail.com. Some people reach out to me through LinkedIn, but I prefer that it come through the Gmail account. I keep track of all the pit crew activity there. And if you come through Gmail, LinkedIn, which I don't check all that often, you might not even be noticed until after your opportunity has passed. So reach out to me to Gmail, and it takes 2 or 3 days to set up an interview. I have to, your logistics, when you're available and when the volunteers are available. So that usually takes 2 or 3 days. If you send in your information today, I'd be attempting for Monday or Tuesday. Likely Tuesday would work out. So that's how you get involved in the pit crew. And I mentioned the webinar. I also do a little bit of coaching. And so if you're going to struggle with answering the question, why did you leave your last job? Then let's have a conversation. And I think that's it. Did I leave out something? Oh, link in with me.
No,
Link in with me. Send me a message to LinkedIn. And it was in the profile the information that I posted up on the chat window has my LinkedIn profile. So you can just click on that and write me a brief message. Say we met at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group, and that's good enough for me. I'll add you to my network. Thanks,
Okay,
Jeff.
and next week we're gonna, you know, we'd figured by all this time we will coordinate our slides, but okay, I guess we're gonna have to, we'll have to
It's
do a
not-
better job next week, okay?
It's not you, it's me.
Okay.
I never
All
do
right.
it in the same order twice.
And I'm trying to keep up with you. All right, it's time for our career tip of the week. Good morning, Roxanne.
Good morning, everyone. The career tip of the week is how to answer a quirky question in a job interview. What flavor of ice cream do you see yourself as? How many pencils would fit in this room? These fun questions can be stressful if you don't have a plan, by Judith Humphrey. If you've done plenty of job interviews before, you know that they tend to go better when you prepare by writing down and answering all the familiar expected questions you might be asked. But inevitably, some questions will take you by surprise. In some interviews, you're going to be asked to respond to totally crazy questions that seem connected to nothing in particular. They're designed to see how you perform under pressure and sometimes how creatively you think. Your success in the interview will depend on how you deal with these oddball queries. Do you panic or do you respond with poise and clarity of thought? Here are 4 ways to shine when you hit with wacky questions. Expect them. You can expect to have at least one far-fetched question in any job interview. Given the unpredictable world we live in, recruiters and hiring managers are increasingly asked these off-the-wall questions to find employees with agility. So they're likely to throw you questions that take you by surprise and force you to respond quickly with a savvy answer. Apple poses some of the most inventive oddball questions. It once asked a prospective quality assurance software engineer, if you had 2 eggs and you want to figure out what's the highest floor from which you can drop the egg without breaking it, how would you do it? Amazon does the same. Having challenged a candidate with the question, how would you solve problems if you were on Mars? It hit another prospect with, Amazon is a peculiar company. What is peculiar about you? Microsoft has asked, how would you move Mount Fuji? And Nestle has posed this one job candidate, if you were a brick in a wall, which brick would you be and why? Other questions high on the quirky scale might include, if you were a tree, what kind would you be? Or what flavor of ice cream do you see yourself as? Number 2, stay composed. When one of these questions comes your way, keep your composure. Recruiters ask these questions to see how candidates deal with stress. Show that you passed that test by keeping your cool. Don't screw up your face or respond with nervous body language, nor should you comment on the question with, that's a good question, or wow, that's a whopper of a question, or where did you get that from? If these are the first words out of your mouth, you'll sound like you've been caught off guard. Instead, take a deep breath and pause when one of those wild questions comes your way. You need time to collect your thoughts. Number 3, be authentic. In answering, remember that the question may be wild, but your answer gives you a genuine opportunity to show your authentic self. So in answering, make sure you are true to who you are and your values. View the question about what kind of tree you'd like to be as a test of your personality. How would you see yourself? You might respond that you'd be a leader, like a mighty oak. Or you might suggest that you'd be an apple tree that produces fruit and adds beauty to the world when it blossoms every spring. Asked to solve problems while on Mars, your first response might be show concern of the safety of your team, given that the red planet provides such an inhospitable environment. That response demonstrates your leadership qualities and emphasize that you're a team player. The question about which brick in the wall you'd like to be can draw out how you see yourself in relation to others. An inspiring CEO might want to be one of the highest bricks, one that the others look up to. An entrepreneur might want to be the first brick laid, a brick upon which the others find their purpose and future. There are no right or wrong answers, but remember, your imaginative response will reflect your authentic self and your ability to tap into your core beliefs. So, and if an Amazon interview tells you that Amazon is a peculiar company and asks what is peculiar about you, you might respond that you don't see yourself as peculiar, but you do look at the world differently from most people. You challenge thinking and explore alternatives. This, you believe, makes you an asset to any company. Let your imagination run wild with these puzzles and have fun, but keep in mind that these crazy questions are also serious ones for the interviewer. Number 4, don't ask for feedback. When you're through answering a quirky question, you may wonder if you were too off base with the answer. You'll probably feel a little weird, but don't ask for feedback about how well you did. If you look for praise or positive reinforcement from the hiring manager or recruiter, it will suggest that you were unnerved by the question. Instead, show that you're comfortable with your quirky answer and the values you have expressed. This will demonstrate your comfort in dealing with even the most outrageous situations that might arise at work. And these days, demonstrating that resilience is high on every employer's list. After all, it has been an outrageous year. That's a career tip of the week. Good luck and have a great weekend, everyone.
Roxanne, thank you very much. I also heard there were a couple comments that when this was posted on LinkedIn, somebody said, I got once I was asked a question, so tell me what you have in your trunk. And I thought, well, that's an interesting question. Do you have a clean, is your trunk in your car clean and organized, or is it a mess? So I always thought that was a good question, something I may have to ask in the future, or I like to ask, so do you prefer a freshwater or a saltwater pool? So that's always just off the top. You just never know where it's going to go. So it's just, you've got to be prepared for those questions. Thank you very much. All right, coming up here in just a couple minutes, we're going to hear from Brandy about taking a CliftonStrengths approach, formerly Strength Finders. Coming up next week, our speaker is going to talk about how to be a better brand. So if you're trying to brand yourself, join us next week. We do have a speaker lined up for the 29th, but she hasn't picked a topic yet. So as soon as she picks a topic, she said she may have one by the end of the week, and the end of the week is here today, so I haven't heard yet. But when she does tell me the topic, I will update this and let everybody know. And then on the first Friday of the month, as we do every first Friday, we will have open forum. Well, it's time for our main event right now. I want to introduce our speaker. Brandy Schade is with us, and she's going to be talking. She's a global Gallup certified strength coach. She has over 20 years experience and over 6 years experience in coaching. She's consulted with over 1,600 professionals and facilitated over 90 workshops across a diverse set of industries within more than 15 different business units in 15 different countries. So I'd heard Brandy's name for years floating around the DFW area giving presentations, and we had her last year join us for the very first time, and it was an outstanding presentation. So Brandy is on our A list, and she'll be back every year as long as she's willing. So Brandy, thank you for being with us, and it's all yours.
Hey, can you guys hear me okay?
We can.
All right, great. I'm going to present this and come back over here and share my screen. Yes, okay. Share, let me know if you can see my screen, guys.
You're good.
Good, okay. All right, let's see here. Thank you so much for having me today. I've been asked to come talk to you guys about taking a strengths-based approach in not just your job seeking, part of your life, but just in your life in general. And so I tend to give a very open session so that you guys can ask all the questions that you want. Just to give you a little background about me before we get started, so you have some context. So I kind of have a crazy story when it comes to the job thing, because I started off as a math major. I was a statistics guru. And then, I got into not just programming and math, but I got into consulting. And then from there, I moved over to Sabre. I was at Sabre for a long, long time. And I was doing all kinds of things for them, moving around the company within different parts of the business. And when I was at Sabre is when I started doing the coaching thing. And I started, working with individuals, working with teams and giving workshops, giving talks like this, and just really helping people from a strengths perspective. And at Sabre, it took off for a while, but then, the company decided they weren't going to support that program. And so I went off on my own and created my own business around it. And I've been helping individuals and companies that want it, and teams and managers and leaders. And so, so I've been running that business for a long time now. And then while I was running that business, I was found last year by a small company called Intrusion. and I was actually asked to be the VP of HR at Intrusion. So right now I am running 2 businesses. I run my my StrengthsFinder business, and I work for Intrusion as a full-time role, which does mean we do have some openings from a job perspective. We're a cybersecurity company. So if any of you have a cybersecurity background, I'd be happy to talk with any of you guys about the different roles that we have open here. So, so that's where I'm at in all of this. I'm still absolutely happy and willing to help you guys from an individual consultation standpoint, or just, you know, this group session today, but also, you know, potentially be able to bring maybe a couple of you on to this company as we grow, if you have that cybersecurity background or interest. Okay, any questions for me before I get started with the content? If there are questions in the chat, if someone could monitor those and just let me know when they come up, that would be great. It's hard to check on the chat at the same time you have the screen pulled up.
Yeah, I'm watching the chat, and I'm watching the Facebook chat also. So if any
Okay,
questions
perfect,
pop
Jeff.
up, I'll
And
let
just,
you know.
yeah, feel free to interrupt me when there's questions, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so this is the guy who started the CliftonStrengths approach, which I absolutely love. You know, there's a lot of assessments out there, but I love this one because I feel like I've been able to help people a lot with this approach. So Don Clifton had strengths of significance, futuristic, individualization, focus, maximizer, and so on and so forth. There are a total of 34 strengths that you could potentially get. And when I say you get a strength, I mean you get it in your top 5 or your top 10. And so what was really important to Don Clifton was, you know, being significant himself, doing significant work, having a significant impact on the lives of others. And, you know, he's someone who his work is going to be, he's going to be more engaged when his work is more seen by others, when it's very, very visual to other people. And so then we look at his second strength and we go, he really cares about the future. He cares about the future of products, the future of people, the future of technology, and the future of finances. But we also go, okay, but he's got significant and futuristic. So that puts a whole nother twist on these things, right? He's not just significant, he's not just futuristics, but he's a significant futurist. And when he's thinking about the future, he's thinking about how things look like in the future that are significant. We added individualization there, and he cares about every single individual, and he cares about how to customize his interactions with each individual. He cares about how to customize his gift giving to each individual. He cares about the way he speaks to each individual in a way that resonates with them. And he really cares about the future of those individuals, and he really cares about those individuals being significant. And he also cares about, you know, significantly being, when he cares about being significant, he cares about being significant on a very individualistic, customized level. And he also cares about individualizing the futures or the future thought of technology, people, finances, products, etc. Then he has extreme focus on all of these areas. He's a focus significance. He's a focus futurist. He's a focus individualizer. He's a focus maximizer. He also loves maximizing people. He likes taking them from a level of really high performance to a level of excellence. And, you know, he maximizes significance. He maximizes futuristic or futures. He maximizes individuals, and he maximizes focus. So you can tell he's a pretty intense guy. When he's got all this maximization going on, he's got all this extreme focus going on, and he has a huge need to be significant. The psychology part of what he did is that individualization. So what they first did is they said, okay, we really want to help maximize people as individuals so that they're at their best every single day and they're being their most productive selves. So the first thing we've got to do is research. We have to actually establish what kind of personality traits are out there. So what they found when they did the research was they found that there were these pockets of behavioral traits, and they were able to start to see them clumped together. When you have this, you also have this, this, and this. And when you have this, you have this, this, and this. And, you know, sometimes you have this and other times you have this other thing. And so sometimes they could see these were not a part, the characteristics or the behavioral characteristics were not part of the same strength. So they, after doing their research, came up with 34 strengths. And you can see all of those on the screen here. They lumped them into 4 categories. The green ones are the thinking strengths. The orange ones on the right-hand side are the influential strengths. The blue ones on the bottom are the relationship building strengths. And the purple ones through the middle are the execution strengths. You also see that the large letters, so relator, responsibility, achiever, learner, strategic, they're the ones that are found most often in a person's top 5 strengths capacity. But if you have something like self-assurance, command, significance, those are found least often, and that's why the words are small. By the way, I will be giving you guys this presentation afterwards, so you can always reference back to this after the session today. This screen also shows proximity. So for example, relators are found with responsibility. The strength relator and responsibility are found together a lot, or relator achiever is found a lot. But what you don't see is something like empathy and activator together a lot. Those are not found together in a person's top 5 strengths often. So this should help you to see when you take the Clifton Strengths assessment, which by the way, you can go out to Gallup and take the assessment. I recommend taking the full 34 assessment rather than just the top 5 one, so that you get more perspective. But you'll see that if you have that pairing, something like empathy and activator, then you're on the more rare side to have that combination. So here's the actual statistics. You can see that achiever, learner, relator, responsibility, strategic, those are found most often. And they're actually found almost 1/3 of the time. So 1/3 of the people on this call probably have some of these strengths. And then you can see the ones that are more rare are in the single digits, where, for example, self-assurance or command, they're only found in a person's top 5 capacity 5% of the time. And this is based on 23 million people taking this assessment.
So Brandy, Ava asked, so all these various descriptions like strengths seem to loop into each other as well as dominate depending on what is happening and who is operating in these character traits.
I cannot hear you very well. Let me see if it's me. Just a second. Nope, I'm up 100%. So can you say that one more time? I'm sorry.
All right, so I'm reading this. I'm not sure if I'm saying this right, but Ava, do you want to unmute your mic and ask your question?
Hello, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Hi, Ava, we can hear you.
Hi, very good. So I was just looking at this. This is the first time I've ever seen or heard this, so this is fascinating to me.
Okay.
But my question I was asking was, with all these different descriptions, and particularly like you're mentioning strengths, they seem to loop one into the other by the way they were presented to me. And then my thought or my question is, do any of these at one point or another dominate depending upon what is happening and who's engaged or operating in any of these character traits? Do you see that happening?
Yeah, so I'll answer your second question first here.
Okay.
So basically that's exactly what I was going into next, Ava, was that so these are Don Clifton still, okay? So significance is most important to him. It's his number 1. So before he knew himself at all, his natural reaction to any situation is going to be significant. And this is when you see little kids, like let's say you have a little kid who has significance. They always need to be significant, right? You're just like, why do you always need to be the center of attention? Well, they don't know why, but they had this natural pull to being significant. I need to be significant. I need to be significant. And
you're talking about my granddaughter.
And if they have to naturally choose a strength, they're going to lean into their number 1, 2, and 3, right? And then 4 and 5 become a bit less important, and then 6, 7, 8 become less important. By the time you get to 34, they don't even think about that 34th strength. They just don't even know it exists. It's the gap that we all have, it's down there at the bottom. And so naturally, this is how we pull. But once we get to know ourselves and we really understand that sort of self-actualization happens, we can go, oh, now is the time to turn on my significance. or now is not the time. Now is time to pull out that individualization. I'm working with this person and I need to be collaborative and relationship building rather than toot my own horn. Or maybe I need to turn on my focus and just get some things done and work. So as we become more self-aware, we can actually go, this environment is asking for this and I have this to offer. And so that's how I'm going to be most successful. Because what happens is these all become weaknesses if you're in an environment that doesn't need them. So let's take positivity for a minute. Someone who's super positive, they always see the bright in the moment. They're just, you know, exuberating positivity. Put that in a funeral. You know, all of a sudden, your positivity ain't really welcome right now. It's just everybody's not feeling you. You know, the empath is going to have more success in the funeral setting than the positivity. So the positivity person has to suppress the positivity thing at the moment. They can still be optimistic and happy, but they need to not overdo it, right? And they need to maybe turn on another one of their strengths and really use that in that moment to be successful in that moment. Now, the first part of your question is far more complex, because what I did was I did the coach magic, right? I said, okay, you know, if you have significance with futuristic, it changes futuristic, it changes significance. You know, we can't label people in a silo with their one strength. We have to look at that person with all of the strengths all together to understand the complexity of that person. And I want to show you something here as we're on that topic. We'll come back to these slides. But if I have 34 total strengths, and let's just say we just look at the top 5 and we reorder those top 5 as many combinations as we can get, there are 33 million combinations just looking at a person's top 5 strengths. That's crazy. Each one of you in this room today, or let's say on this WebEx, is 1 in 33 million people. There's only 7 billion people on the planet. So take 7 billion divided by 33 million. There's about 200 people out there that have your top 5 strengths in that particular order that you have it. And if we look at all 34 strengths, that number becomes so astronomical, none of us can comprehend it. This is how unique we all are, just from a personality standpoint. This has nothing to do with our physical features or any of the, you know, the economical things or social things. This is just straight up personality from a CliftonStrengths perspective. So you're all incredibly unique. And the whole point of this session today is to help you all understand you are built for something. You were put here for something. You were built for it. Or you're built for maybe 5 things. But it's important for you to lean into those and just aim for those, because those of us who do the hiring, we're looking for you. We're looking for a very specific thing to come in and help our company do a very specific thing. And if you care about it as much as I do, I'm looking for that match. And that's hard. You guys think it's hard from a job perspective. I think it's hard from a hiring perspective, because I'm looking. So the person who communicates to me exactly who they are, exactly what they're all about, exactly what they have to bring to the table, it's so much easier for me to match that up to what I need here at the company. And I know it's tough to find. I know I'm looking for, you know, the 200 people that fill that exact thing that I'm looking for across the world, across the globe. Does that answer your questions, Ava?
It does. It actually created about 10 more, but I'll hold them so I can hear your presentation. This is absolutely fascinating.
Okay, yeah. I'll stop here in a second and let you ask some more, okay?
No, please proceed. Yeah, there may be somebody else.
Do you know of any case where someone took the test a decade after they'd taken it once, and did it show a different set of top 5?
Yeah, so what happens typically? You've got the really authentic people who won't let anybody sway them, right? And when they take the assessment, they get the same results over and over and over and over. They never get different results. Your results should not change from the age 14 on. Your neural pathways in your brain are formed by age 14, which is why early childhood development is so important, because the way that those neural pathways are formed are basically, they shape you for the rest of your life. And it's very difficult to create new, neural highways, even roads, right? You can maybe create a road, but to create a highway is too difficult. When they're created, then we can develop them into highways. We can develop them into top performing things. But I'll give you like a more practical example. I was good at math from day one, guys. I don't know why. I just was. I mean, in third grade, I was killing the times tables. You know, I was going around. I don't know if you guys played around the world with the times tables. I was doing it. I was going around the world triple time on the math. I have no idea why I was good at it. That's the degree I went into later on in life because I just built on what I was good at. Now, I sucked at history. I can't remember historical things. I can't retain it. When I, went in high school to do those exams, I would have to write every single detail on a piece of paper to just try to pass the exam. I could only achieve a B. I never got an A in history. And then when I took this assessment years and years later, context, which is really the historical one, was so low on my score. It was just like, I don't have that it factor on that one. So when you see people take the test over and over again and get different results, they're manipulating the test, right? And it's not like they're doing it intentionally necessarily. Some people are doing it intentionally, but some people are also trying to look a certain way, or they're thinking about how they act at work versus how they act at home, which is not good if you're actually acting different. What you want is to be in your strength at home and at work. And you'll also see them want something that they don't have, and so they'll change it. I've seen that. There was a guy that took the assessment. He was right out of school. He took the assessment. He got his strengths the first time. He took it again and got different strengths. He took it again and got different strengths. I sat him down. I said, look, man, I know you got a lot of social pressure. I know you got a lot of parental pressure right now because, he's right out of school and didn't have a job, and it's just a hard time. I said, if you want to be successful, you need to take this for you. Who are you? So that we can get you, working with the people that are like you, talking to the people that are like you, getting you in a realm where you're going to be successful. So he took it authentically again for the third or fourth time. He got exactly the first set in the same order. So Gallup has done a good job of trying to catch you off guard to make sure that they get it right the first time. And they claim that that first time you take it is the most accurate. And from what I've seen in my experience with this, it's true. Now you can shift things a little bit. Your top 10 could kind of shift around. Mine has just a slight, and that's fine. That's normal. But to take something from the bottom, like history for me, and pull it to the top, there's no way. It's just not going to happen. I'm not going to become a famous historian, So that's my take on it, is that the first time you take it is the most accurate. If you take the full 34 strength report, you never have to take it again because you have 1 through 10, which is the only things that are really going to shift around. And then you have the rest. So I recommend the 34, so you never have to take it again. And you just got, your accurate results. Now, the one thing that I will say, one caveat, let's say you're in a car accident, and let's say your hormones change, your physical self change, your brain changes, your nervous system changes. You could have drastically different results coming out of that. And people have seen that. Somebody going into this, they have a car accident, they come out, you don't know them anymore. They're different. So something big, catastrophic like that could change things. Does that help?
Yes, it does. So it sounds as if it may be worthwhile taking it again to get all the 34, because in 2009, when I first took it, I only did the top 5.
You can actually get an upgrade so that you don't have to take the assessment again. You can just reveal, because when you took it, they actually ordered all 34. They just didn't show it to you.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm quite happy with it. Actually, I wasn't surprised at all by the top 5.
And I think the 34 is really important because I feel like my number 6 and my number 7, and my number 8, they play into a lot of the decisions I made. One of the things I've discovered working with people's 34 is that they tend to sit in their 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 at work. They rarely get to the top 5 because they can't believe they could actually get paid and having fun. And your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is where you have fun. So you're like, could I really go do this? Could it really be that easy? And I could actually get paid for that? That doesn't seem real. And so a lot of people will sit a little bit lower in their strength set when they choose a job because they think they have to work hard to make money.
Yeah, I can see that because number 2 is connectedness. I mean, I don't see that really working in a way for a job. So maybe the 6th one is a better one to rely on.
Well, I mean, connectedness is one of the best people management ones out there. So if I see you come across my desk with connectedness, the first question I ask you is, do you want to manage a team?
I see, I know there's some questions that have popped up, but I want Brandy to get through. I know there's so many things to discuss here. I really like Brandy to sort of get through a good chunk of her presentation. And then, because I know she's going to answer some of the questions that you're asking about.
Yeah,
So,
these are great questions. I mean, the goal is for you guys to all leave here with your answers. So I'm happy to take these questions. I can keep going for a minute, Jeff, but I'll stop for questions again here in a second. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Brandy.
So what Gallup found, guys, was that people who have the opportunity to focus on their strengths every day are 6 times as likely to be engaged in their jobs and more than 3 times likely to report having quality of life. So not only does this approach feel good to us, it actually works. It's got tangible results. They did a study across the globe, across 50,000 business units, across 1.2 million employees, across 22 organizations in 7 industries in 45 countries. And this, you can see down below, I've given you the link if you're one of those super analytical information people that needs to go look at it yourself. And this was in 2016. And these are the types of results that they saw. They saw that productivity skyrocketed, that employee engagement went up, customer satisfaction scores and engagement went up, profits went up from 14 to 29%, which is enormous from a profit standpoint. And sales increased as well. And then things like defects and turnover and retention and safety nets, they all go, sorry, retention goes up, but turnover and absenteeism go down. And so what I love about this is it feels great to us, but we can also feel confident that we are going to benefit from it, but so is the organization. And when you create that synergistic value of the individual and the organization, everybody wins. They also learned that when you ignore somebody, you have a huge chance of disengagement, 40% chance of disengagement. There's a 60% chance that someone stays engaged even when they're being ignored, because a lot of people are actually introverted. But they said, okay, that's not good enough, right? It's not great. So by the way, if you want to proactively disengage somebody, you just ignore them. Okay. You get a huge chance of disengagement. But they said, okay, when you don't ignore someone, when you give them attention, but you give them negative attention, it increases their engagement. They can stay engaged, they can stay on board, they can stay interested, but you still have about 15% of the people, or let's see, more like 20, right? 20, 25% of the people that are like, I'm out. I'm not going to stay in this environment where someone's focusing on my weaknesses. This applies to your spouse. This applies to your children. This applies to your work environment, your coworkers, your manager, or the people that you're managing. What they found that was amazing was that if you give somebody attention and all you do, 100% of the time, is focus on what they're good at and what they do well and how to keep them doing more of that, which is very difficult, by the way, right? This is no easy feat, but this is my challenge to you. When you focus on their strengths and their strengths only, there's a 99% chance of engagement, which means there's only a 1% chance of disengagement. There's 250 plus assessments out there. This is only one of them. This one defines your natural abilities, your underlying motivations, and your priorities. It helps me understand exactly what drives you, but it doesn't define your competence. If you have a 5-year-old and a 25-year-old, and they both had the same top 5 strengths in the same order, the 25-year-old is hopefully more competent and confident. And I also can't just define you based on this assessment alone. We have to sit down and we have to talk about, what are your interests? What do you want to do? What are your skill sets? What interests you? What doesn't? So those conversations still need to be had, but this assessment should open up that conversation set, and it should open it up in a positive way to allow you to have that conversation with others. Okay, let me pause there for a minute. Other questions?
Antonio, so I saw you had a question and you've got your mic unmuted. You want to go ahead and ask your question?
Yes, like I mentioned in my take, I have strengths of connect, net, relator, developer, belief, and harmony. And how could I get the rest of them? Because I took the test very long time, more than 10 years ago.
Yeah, let me see if I have the slide since you guys are asking about this. Yeah, so here it is. So if you go out to Gallup's website, okay, and here, let's see if I have the link on here. I think I do at the bottom. It's so hard to see with all this stuff on the screen. Well, there's a link on the bottom that will come in your PDF when you guys get it. There it is. Okay, it's the Gallup Store. So you can either purchase the $50 assessment in total and retake the assessment, or you can purchase this upgrade that's in the middle, and that will reveal the rest of your strengths, your 29 strengths that you haven't seen yet.
Okay.
And then there's the top 5 one as well.
Okay. My second question is, when I took the assessment, some questions, because it's timely arranged, at that time I was not good in my English, so some questions I didn't answer them, so the time elapsed. So does it affect my
yeah
results?
Which language do you speak from your native language?
Tigrinya.
What was that?
Tigrinya, that's a small country in Northeast Africa, in Eritrea. I'm original from there.
Tanzania?
No, Tigrinya.
Tigrinya. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't get surprised very often. Okay, so they don't have your language here, obviously. They do have the assessment in lots of different languages now. But yes, for you, definitely retake it, spend the $50 and retake it now that your English is better, because I have seen where if you don't take it, either in your native language or you're not great at English yet and take it, the results can get kind of funky, right? Because you just misinterpreted it. So I would recommend that you retake it, and I would take the full 34 strength one.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
I'm looking, I don't really see anything else that anybody, I'm going through here. There's been a question about what's the difference between strength finders and the DISC assessment. And somebody posted in the chat box, there's a link that'll explain the difference. So
yeah, and I even have an article on LinkedIn on my profile. You guys feel free to hook up with me on LinkedIn, reach out and connect with me today. It's just Brandy Schade, and you'll see it says Gallup CliftonStrengths Coach. But I have an article out there on that specifically that really talks about how Gallup has 34 strengths where DISC has 4 categories. And so, what I love about Gallup is that it's not just about whether you're introverted or extroverted, but it's when are you introverted and when are you extroverted? When do you need data? When are you intuitive? So we can really break that down where we show how the strengths themselves, sorry, I'm trying to get my light back on, fit into those DISC categories if we wanted to break it down that way.
Roshana's asking, can one change their strengths by focusing on specific, can somebody grow in one strength and just focus on getting better at one of your top 10 or one of your top 5?
Yeah, I would agree with that. You can just focus on a top 5 and get really good. You can focus on a top 10 and get good. But if you have a restorative personality that wants to fix everything you're not good at, that's something we have to work on together to get you to understand that that's a lost cause. If you're going to sit there and work on things that are just not in your wheelhouse, you're really going to struggle through all of your life. Rather, let's focus on getting you better all the time at the things that you have an aptitude for, and trying to always improve that. That's going to go over much better than working at things that are at your bottom.
John's asking, is there a new 2.0 version coming out, or is it pretty much I know they changed the name to CliftonStrengths from Strength Finders.
Yeah, it's the same though. So they've had a couple names, but CliftonStrengths is the newest name. It is the same version as 2.0. And I haven't heard that there's any new version coming out anytime soon.
Thank you.
Shall I continue?
Continue on.
Okay, so I wanted to look at 3 different people today to give you guys some perspective, Jeff, Priscilla, and Randy. If we look at them as a group, we can see that 100% of this group, right? All 3 of them had a similar strength. They all 3 had achiever, which is very normal because if you recall, achiever was one of those, you know, it is the most found strength in a person's top 5 capacity. It happens 31% of the time. We also see that 2 of them were arrangers, 2 of them were relators, and then all their other strengths were individual strengths. They didn't, you know, have a similar strength in any other way. And then, of course, you know, with 3 people, we're not going to cover all the strengths. So they had some strengths that they didn't cover. We're going to put all of the Gallup strengths into these categories, like we talked about before. So let's talk about the strategic thinking area. Again, this is more, I wouldn't think it's so much of strategic thinking, but just think of it more as thinking. And analytical people, context people, futurists, ideators, inputters, intellectuals, learners, and strategists, they all love to think. They can't help but to think, like their brain just thinks, it just works. So what we do is we ask these people, you know, what are your thoughts? You know, help me analyze this. What's the big picture? You know, and we ask them a variety of questions based on their strengths. What are your ideas, for example? Or what do you visualize for the futurists? To help them engage their brains and to help them be at their best and to give us, you know, their best selves back. We also have the executionists, so the people who love to execute. You don't have to ask these guys to execute. They execute to execute because it feels good. These are the ones that you watch and you're like, why are they overachieving, or why are they just executing all the time? Sometimes they execute more than they have to. Well, it feels good to them. That's what they enjoy. You also have influencers, people who think about, what if, you know, how do I get this person to do what I want them to do? They're thinking about, how do I get this person to compete with me? How do I get this person going and activate them? How do I get this person to listen to me? How do I win this person over? They're thinking about that all day long in some capacity if they have one of these strengths. We go to them to get help with sales, with marketing, with negotiations. We also have the relationship builders, the people who love to build relationships. They can't help but build it. They just feel like it's a necessity. They can't believe other people don't want to build relationships. And it just it's very natural to them. So if you don't have a strength in one of these areas, I don't want you to think you can't do it. I don't have strengths in influencing. So I just don't have natural abilities to influence. And you might say, wow, Brandy, but I feel like you're influencing me today. Yes, but I'm putting myself in a very specific environment that syncs up with another one of my strengths. I happen to have learner, which means I love to learn, but I also love to teach and I love to consult. And I have learned that I can have influence if I put myself in an environment to teach others what I know. And when I do that, and they've come to that session, right, to learn from me, and so I'm giving them what they need at that time, I can actually be quite influential. But if you want me to be influential dynamically on the spot in it, you know, I don't do that well. My brother is amazing at it. So I call him and I just have him talk to the internet company to get my internet turned back on, you know. So we all have different strengths of areas, and we want to put ourselves in environments where our strengths are. But if we have to do another particular area, we just might have to be a little bit more thoughtful or strategic about doing that thing when we need to get it done. That could mean turning on one of our other strengths to do it, or putting ourselves in the right environment. But it could also mean, you know, learning who's around you and asking them to help you and partnering with them. Because remember, if you engage that person and say, hey, I need you to do this because you're good at it, they're going to love doing it. They're not going to feel burdened by you asking to partner up with them to help them to do that thing. Questions about this?
Is it significant? All right, so somebody's saying here, is it significant that you have at least one in all 4 domains, or if you had just all yours on the very top half or the right half or the bottom half? I mean, what is,
Yeah.
That's what we're probably getting into right here now.
Yeah, so you can see on the screen the most common result is to have either 2 or 3. If you have all 4, it just means you need to be entertained, right? You need a job like a product management role that says, I need someone that thinks, executes, influences, and builds relationships. And that's the best environment for you. That's the best job for you. If you have strengths in different areas, like I've had people that have all blue. And in fact, the man who spoke up today and shared his strengths, you had all blue except for 1. You're a master at building relationships. Just what, I mean, you should be building relationships all day long and getting paid for that because you're so good at it. That makes it harder for you because you have to find that. You have to find that role and that job, that very specific thing that says, I need someone to build relationships 80% of the day. That would kill me personally. I've got mostly execution. I don't want to sit there and build relationships all day, just a little part of my job, but most part I like to execute. So you can see on the screen here, these 3 people all had executing. We have Jeff, who was a master influencer. We have Priscilla, who had a little bit of influence, but Jeff can really sell. We also have Randy over there, who was the master strategic thinker and the strategist, as well as getting things done. He was actually a leader of an operations group. Priscilla was the best team manager out of all 3 of these. She really enjoyed relationship building. She really enjoyed, she had both individualization and maximizer, which means that she loved building the relationship with individuals and also loved motivating them on an individual level, but that she also liked to take them to that next level of excellence. So all 3 of these people on the screen were leaders or are leaders. And so I wanted to show you this because I wanted to show you that there's no rhythm or rhyme to it. What the thing is that these people know exactly who they are. They know what they bring to the table. They know what they do well. They've positioned themselves well to shine. And then they know how to partner well with others to get the other things done around them that they don't bring to the table, because none of us can be everything. We can only be what we are. And so we have to learn to sink our teeth into that and let others be great at the other things. What else, guys? Anything else on this?
People are, I like how people are sharing in the chat. They're sharing their top 5, or they're sharing. So David asked, what does it mean if one has top strengths in strategic thinking? So if they're, I guess, heavily weighted, like Randy is, I guess, heavily weighted.
Yeah. So I've seen people with all green, all 5 of them green, and it just means don't go out there and try to sell. Don't go out there and try to put your place, where a lot of execution is required, and don't put yourself in an environment where you need to build relationships all day long, right? You want to be in an environment where you're asked to think all day long, and you are the expert that people go to say, what are your thoughts? And, that could be a consultant, because consultants don't necessarily have to do a lot of work or even build relationships. They just need to be the expert on the things, and they need to, be in that. We need people in that position where we go to them and say, you're the expert, I need your help, and now we would really have to look at your particular strengths to know exactly what you should be doing. For example, if you have context and input, maybe we say, well, would you like to be in a legal realm, because you like to study case studies and you like information. And you become a legal counsel, for example. So, but if you had something like analytical instead, then maybe you want to be the numbers expert. So it really depends on your strengths to know exactly what you should do with that. But I hope that helps a little bit to look at it that way. I think you guys are really wanting to get into the strengths themselves. So let me keep going here for a second. So I also put these into a work cycle, and this helps me contextualize, are you a natural director? Or are you someone that moderates, collaborates, gets projects off the ground? Maybe you're ultra creative and eccentric, artsy, or maybe you're innovative, where you need something to start with, but you can really move it in an interesting direction once you have something to start with. Maybe you're super organized and you're built for program management, project management, or operations. Or maybe you're a great people manager. You manage relationships up, down, and sideways. You could be an analyst, an evaluator, someone who gets things right, or you could be a finisher, someone who drives projects over the finish line. And you can see with these three people, they're all completely different. We got Randy up there, who is a natural director. He can just set direction easily for people. And the way he does it is through strategic thinking, where Jeff is also a very good director. He sets direction for his teams very well, but he does it through influence. He happened to have communication here, so he can, have this really clear message that he gets out to everyone to ensure they know exactly what they need to do, who, what, where, when, why, how. And then you have, Randy, who is good operationally as well. Like I said, he was an operations director, so he had really found his stride. We have Priscilla, who's also good at operations. She's good at, right there in the middle of organizing and, she's more of a project manager or program manager, as well as a people manager. She loves getting things done as well. And she's very collaborative. And then we have Jeff, who kind of was spread out, right? Where he sets direction well, he gets projects off, moving and gets people excited about them. He's able to innovate on ideas and keep some organization and also, get things over the finish line. So let's look at Jeff here. He has a Ranger, Woo, Achiever, Communication Learner. So a Ranger is when you are really good at arranging things. You're flexibly organized, which means you move things. You move and move and move and move and move. But as you're moving them, you are experiencing or realizing efficiencies. And, that could be of people, that could be of tasks, that could be of, whatever it is. So when I look at Jeff, I go, okay, you're an arranger, but what are you an arranger of? Well, we'll do the same drill we did before. He arranges winning people over, which is his second one, his Woo. He arranges achievements or deliveries. He loves to arrange communication. He loves to arrange learning, teaching, development. He also loves to win people over. He could spend all day with people, winning them over. Now, it doesn't mean he's developing a long-term relationship with them, but once he's won you over, he goes to the next person and he wins them over, and he goes to the next person and he wins that person over. He loves that challenge of winning over 100 people during the day. So he's really good at conferences and being that person that's at a conference that's talking to everybody. He loves to win others over around the arrangements or the events that he's created. He loves to win others over about the achievements that he and his team has done. He loves to win others over around communication, and he loves to win others over around learning, teaching, continuous improvement, development. He also is an achiever, which means now all of a sudden he's achieving arrangements, he's achieving Woo, he's achieving communication, he's achieving learning. So he just kind of spiked all of those. All of those become a little bit more intense because of his achiever. An achiever is just loving to get things done. They create their list. They love to check the list off. It's just extremely motivating and inspiring to have a list and to get things done. You don't want to take a list of things to this person because that's just a longer list. But what you want to take to them is, this is what I've gotten done. If they're your manager, say, this is what I've gotten done. This is what I've gotten done. If they're your colleague, show them what you've gotten done. Show them what the team has gotten done. They just absolutely love seeing things getting done. The communication means that he has this really clear communication about who, what, where, when, why, how. You never misunderstand Jeff. I mean, he's just always aims for clear communication. He always needs to understand his audience. But he particularly loves to communicate arrangements, organizations, configurations, events. He loves to communicate, he loves to communicate to win others over. He loves to communicate to get things done. He loves to communicate to teach and continuously improve things. He also loves to learn. He loves to learn about how to have more efficient arrangements. He loves to learn how to win people over effectively. He loves to learn how to achieve and get things done. And he loves to learn how to communicate really, really well. So this is what Jeff's brain does all day long. Is this helpful? Any questions, thoughts?
Roshan's asking, how can one grow one's worst domain to at least mid-level, especially when it's affecting your capabilities in managing important work?
Was that a she? I didn't hear.
Yes, it's a she.
Okay. It's a she. She's a she.
She's
so
a she.
Can she give a little bit of an example maybe? Do you mind speaking up on the phone and just giving an example?
Oh, no, it's a he. Sorry, it's a he.
It's a he.
It's a he.
Mister.
I didn't see your picture on there, so I didn't, I couldn't see. You want to unmute your mic and you're welcome to give us a bit more detail.
I'd love to hear this example.
Alt A, unmute your mic.
So, well, let's do this. Let's take Jeff here on the screen. He doesn't have relationship building. I would never expect him to have relationship building. I would never expect him to improve that. If he's going to build relationships, he's going to build them because it helps him do the arrangements, or it helps him win people over, or it helps him get things done. So he may build some relationships, but he just doesn't have a focus on that. And he doesn't need to. He doesn't need to become good at relationship building. What he needs to do is, arrange something that allows the relationship building to happen around him or for his team. But he doesn't need to be the relationship builder. Now, if he came to me and he said, Brandy, I really wish I had more relationships, long-term relationships. He's a learner, so I could teach him some things about how to do that. And he could either take it or leave it. He could figure out some tactics for himself to have some long-term. We could have him target certain people so that he felt like he was able to achieve things with those people, or, market with those people to feel more connected to them. But I am never, ever going to expect him to be the master relationship builder ever.
John's asking, I recall taking the assessment, however, I don't have the information. Can I dig into the Gallup site to find my results?
Yeah, you can log in. And if you've forgotten your password, you can just say, I forgot my password, and reset it. And if none of that works, just call the Gallup help desk. They're really helpful to get you reconnected to your account.
All right, let's see here.
Even if you guys took this at another company, y'all created your own account on Gallup, so it's still out there.
This is Brenda. I have a question.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Okay, I took the test a couple of months ago, and it said, well, just trying to make this short, 4 of my strengths are in the relationship building area. But when I look at the domain keys, it says, and I don't know if these are in order, executing, influencing, relationship building, and then thinking. So
yeah, that's just the key that shows you what color is what.
okay, I didn't know if those were in order, because I was thinking, because I've been a project manager for like the last 20 years. But project manager is not, I mean, I did it because it paid the bills and, all that, but that's not really who I am.
Right. Yeah, that sounds very accurate, what you're
And
saying.
so now I'm trying to transition, but I'm trying to transition into where I don't know.
Right. So for you, for example, the first thing I would say is, if you have project management background and experience, but you want to get more into who you are, maybe look into account management.
Oh, okay.
Because you get to use everything you used before, but now you get to focus on building the relationship with clients and maintaining that relationship for the company, and you get paid for it.
Great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Jeff, can I ask a couple of questions real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, Jason.
I noticed all these charts and everything that you have on these screens. And I'm on the site right now. Is there somewhere on this site that you can pull this up on your own?
So these are my own customized charts that I built. You guys are the first group that I'm going to expose this to. I'm actually building a web app to get you all these charts. I'm not even charging yet because it's in beta, basically. However, if y'all go out to strengthologyinsights.com, you can create an account today and you can put your strengths in there. So you have to have taken the assessment. You can put your strengths in there and you can get all these charts for yourself today.
Just if you have your top 5, you need your top 10. How many strengths do you put in, all 34?
The only charts we have right now built out for you guys are the 5. So you can go out there and just put the 5 in. You could put all 34, arrange them. You're only going to get information for top 5 right now because we haven't built out the rest of it yet. But I would love for you guys to go try it out and give me your feedback, because we need to see if that site scales. So it would be great if you guys would go test my site out, give me your feedback, let me know what worked for you, what didn't, what was confusing.
I'll put the link in the email that goes out this afternoon.
Yeah,
to everybody.
strengthologyinsights.com. And one of the interesting things that we've implemented that we're going to work on first is we're going to ask y'all, what was your favorite job, your absolute favorite job, so that we can start collecting information on people who have certain strengths that had a favorite job. And that gets revealed to the other people who have similar strengths down the road, right? It's going to take a lot of data to get there. But that way, for people like yourselves, you know, when you enter your strengths, in the future, it'll say something like, oh, other people with your strengths really enjoyed doing A, B, C, D, and E, to give you more, you know, just give you some ideas about what you could do with your strengths. But that's all, like I said, it's all beta right now. So just go out there, give it a go, see how it works. You should get all the charts though. That should at least be working for you.
And if you're good with Excel, you can build your own.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Other quick, what,
Couple questions.
Yeah, Jason, you had one more question. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in there again. Just so you mentioned that there were certain characteristics that were for different jobs. How can we get from having these to kind of marry it up to specific job types?
Yeah, so I have never found anything really great out there as a tool. That's why I'm creating it. Now, you know, we can work together offline and talk about it. Just because I've seen I have my own experience, right? Where I've worked with a lot of people and I know what types of people like what kinds of jobs. Otherwise, you have to just put, you know, all of this together. Like when I look at Priscilla here, she's a maximizer, and it tells you she focuses on strengths as a way to stimulate personal and group excellence, and she seeks to transform something strong into something superb. So she's a little bit more of a perfectionist. She's a maximizer. She's a coach. She's an arranger, which means she's got organizational skills, and she's flexibly organized, which is typically a program manager type role. And I have an article out there on LinkedIn as well that talks about program managers. So if you're interested in being a program manager, you can read my LinkedIn article to really help you. I use the data to show. I did a session for a group of 30 program managers. So it really shows what type of people tend to enjoy that job. And then individualization, I mean, she definitely needs to be a team manager. I mean, she would feel empty without managing a team. And then relator is just loving to work with people one-on-one, but it's also an organized one. So you guys can see, excuse me, she's really organized, but she's also really people oriented. So she just needs to manage a team, and she needs to manage the team from a people standpoint, but also from sort of a project management standpoint. So then we could get into her, and, you know, she could do that in lots of different industries, but she'd probably actually enjoy a coaching industry because that's her focus. So she would do even better at managing and leading a team of other coaches, of other managers. So yeah, there's no exact tool out there to tell you exactly what you should be doing. But you can either, you know, think through it yourself. There's a good tool if you need just straight up, what are all the jobs out there? It's the Occupational Handbook, which is on the Bureau Labor Statistics website, bls.gov, I think, www.bls.gov. And then you look up the Occupational Handbook. That lists every single job you could ever imagine. So you can sit there and go through that list and say, you know, no, 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 hell no, no. And then you can find the ones that you're like, oh, this is so interesting. How do I get into this? You know, you could do that too. LinkedIn, I've gone out there and I've actually put some of these phrases that Gallup uses into LinkedIn just to see what jobs are out there that might fit somebody, to help us understand what kind of jobs might be really intriguing and interesting to lean into. So those are some ideas. If you're a strategist, you know, we can see that Randy was highly strategic, and he also loves solving the most complex types of problems out there, which is why he loved operations. And he loved strategically solving really big, complex operational problems. He's a high achiever. He's also a futurist, which means he might have interest in product because he can see the future of what a product could look like, or the future of what the company could look like. He's actually, Randy's very entrepreneurial with the strategic and futuristic. He could really see the big picture and where things need to go, and lead the way, and help solve problems, you know, along the way. Or maybe he leads, you know, as an entrepreneur, he leads a business that solves problems for companies because he could see how to effectively solve problems in 10 years time, you know, by helping companies. So that could be an idea for him. What other questions do you guys have?
So when you were talking about strengthnology insights, you mentioned possibly being able to go on and see other people who have the same strengths as you. I think it would
not yet, but in the future.
Right, eventually. I think it would be really helpful though, especially if you're trying to think of the areas that you do not have strengths in, to find people who have strengths in areas you don't.
Right.
So that you could build, you know, relationships with those people. Is that something that you're possibly going to work on?
I'm probably not going to do a networking thing for a long time. I'm probably just going to lean into all the charts and graphs and information that we have, because I'm building it so that I can run my own business on a scaled level. And then I'll continue to develop it for the public. But for now, I'm just building it to be able to do this stuff for myself without having to build every single slide.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
I put the link to your new website on, it's in the chat, and I'll make sure I copy it to everybody this afternoon.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and you guys can reach out to me too if you have any trouble. Thank you for testing it. We need you guys to get out there and test it. So that'd be really nice.
So, yeah, go ahead.
How much time do we have?
You know, I mean, if people need to drop off, they can be dropping off, but I mean, we can go another 10 or 15 minutes if you want.
Oh, okay. Yep. So I just wanted to show you a few more things. I wanted to show you that there are going to be some resources. Of course, this is where you can, you know, have the resource to get the assessment. And there's also an app. You can download an app and you can log into your account through the app, and it will give you tips every day and suggestions from the app. So that might be really helpful right now to you guys. I think that the YouTube channel is the most effective thing for all of you, where you can listen to other people and you can listen to Gallup interviews people with strengths all the time. So you can listen to their strengths, what they've done with them, how they've used them, what works for them, what doesn't. I think that will give you all a lot more perspective on your own strengths. I've also included like a quick guide so you can just get a quick description of all the strengths, because I know some of you have never even heard of this, and so these strengths are brand new to you. You should also get an ebook when you take the assessment where you can read through the whole book and you can read through all the detailed strengths if you're interested in that. And then I've included a balconies and basement worksheet where, for example, if you have command and you're in a position where you're using your command and it's really welcome, people are going to say, oh, you're charismatic, you're direct, you're driven, you're inspirational, easy to follow, clear and concise. But if you're using your command in an area that people don't welcome it, they're going to say, oh, this person's bossy, they're a know-it-all, they're domineering, rude, abrupt, short, strong-willed, inflexible, stubborn. So this is just like a great sheet to help get those indicators, those flags of when something's working for you and when it's not, so that you can become a little bit more strength intelligent, right? And making sure you're positioning yourself well to be successful. Everything I do, by the way, for my own business, I love telling you all this because it's something that's a big deal to me. I support Operations Underground Railroad, which is an organization that helps go get the human trafficked kids across the world, and it brings them into homes and gets them the help they need. And it also goes into these local law enforcement groups and teaches them how to find them and helps prosecute the perpetrators and get them off the streets. And So it's just a wonderful, wonderful organization that I support very much with my business. And then I also have a slide here at the end that just gives you all my information. So you can find me through email, you can find me through phone number, or reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Well, Brandy, thank you very, very much. We will share, she'll send me the slide deck, and then I'll make sure I'll make it a PDF form and get it.
Oh, I'll send you the PDF.
Okay, that'll be great. So we'll get it out to everybody.
I'm terrific. How you doing, Richard?
Do we have any more questions about
Running and
Brandy?
gunning. Got both wheels on the ground or all four wheels and rolling?
Somebody's not on mute.
Yeah, I just muted them. Any questions while Brandy's here? I mean, for those people who haven't taken Strength Finders, I mean, I think it's a great way to explain to people, and I actually use it in my about section of my LinkedIn to tell people who I am and how I can help them and how I can be a service to them through my strengths. And, you know, I think that the key to this whole thing is that if you can improve in your spend time in your top 10 strengths, you can make yourself so much better, where if you try to improve yourself and you spend all your time working on the bottom 10, you're never going to get those bottom 10 to the top 10. You may move them into the middle 20, but, you know, spend time doing what you like to do. Spend time doing what your brain's wired to do. You'll enjoy yourself a lot better.
And you truly will have a lot more success. I have personally putting myself in a position where my strengths are actually welcome, and I can fly, right? I can soar instead of just get by.
Right. Any other questions from anybody? Yes, Ava. You're muted.
Yes.
No.
I apologize. Did I understand again, this has been around about 22 years? I'm pulling a number out the air.
It's been longer than that. I think they've been developing this for 40 years.
40 years. Okay. Because I was familiar that, you know, with other assessments I've done over the years, but this is one that, like I say, it's very fascinating. So I'm going to dig into it. It's a great presentation, good information.
Yeah, feel free to reach out to me on the side, Ava. I know you got more questions.
I appreciate that, Brandy. Thank you. Will do.
All right. Well, Brandy, thank you very, very much. Here's Brandy's LinkedIn profile. If you want to link in, please, a rule that you should always do is that if you're going to send Brandy a note, or if you want to connect with me, please send a personal note. Tell us why we should connect. Tell us you saw Brandy this morning, you know, at the presentation. You know, let us know, because that way we understand why we're connecting. When people send me a LinkedIn request and I don't know why we're connecting, I tend not to connect with those people unless I recognize them from something. So, you know, please do that. Next Friday, our speaker is going to be Fred Schlesinger. He's going to talk about how to be a better brand. So if you're trying to figure out how to brand yourself, so you're going to find out what your top 5 strengths are, you know, how you should, here are your key words that you want to talk about. Now, how you're going to use that in a brand. So we'll do that next Friday at 9:30. Just as a reminder, all the Yahoo groups are now gone. So if you have any Yahoo groups in your address book, you want to delete those. And please make sure your contact information is in the chat box so that I can add you to our new group, groups.io. That's the platform I'm using. The reason I went to that versus Google Groups is that groups.io was written by the same people who did Yahoo groups, and you can have any email you want. When you're using a Google group, they really want you to have a Gmail account, and I'm trying to make it easy. So make sure your contact information is in the chat box, and I will make sure if you're not part of our group, not getting our emails, that we will get you invited. So
Jeff, by the way, I have a few minutes too. So if you want me to stay on for a few minutes to answer more questions, I'm happy to.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
So yeah, we'll wrap up here, and then we'll leave it open for anybody who wants to just hang out here at the end. If you haven't put in your 30-second introduction, please do so. This is where I capture all that information so I can update the roster, and I will put this information out along with the slide deck this afternoon, along with the link to Brandy's new place to be able to enter this information. So please put that in the chat box. Other training we've got going on next week, just as a reminder, next Tuesday, Terry Sullivan is going to tell your key contacts and prospects who you are, what you do, and how you help. Terry's a marketing person, so he's going to be talking about LinkedIn from a marketing standpoint. Next Wednesday, our Interview Wednesday session will be on session number 3, how to do star stories, getting into a deep dive. If you happen to miss session 1 and 2, they are on the Career USA YouTube channel, and I'll talk about that in just a second. And then next Thursday at 1 o'clock, we do effective resumes every Thursday, and we talk about top resume tips. And you're welcome to share your resume, and we have time to usually review 1 or 2 resumes at the end, so we can see people's things. And if you want to, you know, delete your header information, your name and phone number, you can do that. So because it will be on Facebook and on YouTube from here to eternity. This session has been recorded. It will be on the Career DFW Facebook page, and it will later this afternoon be up on the Career USA YouTube channel, because just because you get the slide deck doesn't mean you hear all the words that go with it. So this way you can go back and you can review whatever part of the presentation you'd like to review. Follow us on Facebook. Every time we go live on Facebook, your phone will give you a little buzz. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you'll know about all the new programming every time we upload a new program on there. This is what the YouTube channel looks like. Be sure to click on playlist, and don't click on the videos that you see there. Click underneath where you see the red arrow. Pick, you know, view full playlist, because what will happen is up will come a list of all the videos, and that way you can find the video that you're specifically looking for, the title that you want. There's about 135 programs that are up on there. This is our 179th workshop that we've recorded since COVID got started. So we are glad, very glad you're with us. So thank you very much for joining us today, Brandy. Thanks again. She's going to hang out for a little bit. For everybody else, have a great weekend, and hopefully we'll see you sometime next week.
Thank you, Jeff.